My God, it's great to see people that I haven't seen for a long time. I am just excited, by the way. Commissioner Toman has got his camera to work. I'm amazed. Mr. Rosica's there. We also have some phone numbers here. So what I'm going to do, everybody, is I'm going to, who's calling in from 708-447-3767?
That is Coach.
Okay, Coach, I'm going to put down Coach Sisolak by your name so everybody knows who you are when you're talking, okay? There he is. Who's calling in from 708-447-6241?
That's Frega.
Ah,
John
Mr. Frega. I got you, Mr. Frega.
Okay.
We basically, Mr. Frega, we see you as a phone, but your name is right by the phone, so everybody knows who you are, okay?
Okay.
Who is calling from 708-204-8643?
Hi, Joe. It's Dan Creek. Hi, guys. How are you?
Oh, hey, it is our former vice commander, mentor of all. Thanks, Dan, for calling.
How's
from
everybody?
Florida. I think we're okay.
My
So
pleasure.
we have people from all over today. We have people from Pennsylvania. We have people from actually North Riverside. We have people from Texas. We have people from Riverside. We have people from Yorkville. We have people, I guarantee you, we do have people from Berwyn. They are masked, but they are friendly masked people. Thank you, Mr. Ward.
You like your mask?
I like your mask. I like your mask. And oh my God, we're getting a lot of attendance still coming in. So hey, everybody, let's give it another couple of seconds. And we also have my good friend Walter Watts, who I have not seen in person since we were cadets at the University of Illinois. I am very excited about Walter because Walter just joined our post. So a good little clap to Walter. Thank you, Walter. Walter, where are you living now?
I'm living in Lake in the Hills, Illinois.
Ah, do you need a passport to get there?
Almost.
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 I do believe though that you need a passport to get to Berwyn, but we will not pick on our Berwyn folks because we love them, right, Mr. Ward? We love you guys.
You're damn right you do.
There you go. I love it.
All we're missing is Spangoli.
And we're also very fortunate to have President Conniff Coughlin. President Coughlin, thank you for being here today. You will be talking to us after our guest speaker, but it's not often that we get to have a retired colonel and an acting president of the Illinois State Auxiliary in our presence. So thank you, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Joe,
So-
I want to get some business out of the way if we can.
You go ahead. We haven't gone online yet for the business. I haven't opened up the meeting, but go ahead, Mr. Friga. I defer to you.
$300 for the American Legion Poppy Drive. I want to know where to send it.
Send it to me. I will send you. I will text your wife, and I will give you the address, and I'll take care of it. And just so you know, everybody, Mr. Friga is basically donating money so that 150 poppies will be passed out by the Riverside First American Bank to
So I
people.
make the check out to American Legion Poppy Drive.
Now just make it out to Riverside American Legion, and we're going to put that
Riverside
into.
American Legion. Okay.
And we're putting, and Marla will give you a date. We'll give you an update about our Poppy Drive very shortly later in the meeting. Okay. But Mr. Friga, thank you. So if you have to duck off, Mr. Friga, we understand. Okay.
And Joe, I also made a commitment for the other 300.
Oh, so you're gonna do? Okay, so you can send me the same thing, and what we'll do.
And I also owe you the application. You know what happened though?
What?
You had your card in there with your mailing address, and I wound up losing it.
That's okay. I lose my address every day. Sometimes I don't even get home in one piece.
Yeah. Could you send me your mailing address?
You get it. I will send it to you. I'll get it to you.
I'll go ahead and send in the application, but I'll also go ahead and send you a $300 check.
How much there?
Paid out to the American Legion.
Great, and we'll work on another place to pass out poppies in the town. Marla, we'll talk maybe about Riverside Foods, passing out 150 at Riverside Foods and 150 at the bank. And so people will either have an opportunity to get a virtual poppy, which Marla will talk about later, and then we'll get the regular poppy.
By the way, I could mention the bank is closed during the shutdown period, but
yeah, but they can do the walk-in drive-through service. So when you get when you go to the bank and you pick up the tube, there will be a poppy in the tube, and there will be a little note that Marla's working on. So the poppy will come with a note telling people the importance of Poppy Day. What do you think about that?
I like it.
Who said that?
Greg.
Good for you, Greg. Okay, let's, I'm going to start this meeting at 6:05. We're now on the record. I've called the meeting to order. At this point, for those of you who have not seen the agenda, everybody else knows who is our vice commander. I'm still commander, unless I've been overthrown and I didn't know about it. Jason Hensley is somewhere. I think he's got a real estate transaction, but he's going to be with us as soon as possible. He's our vice commander. Mr. Dolesh is still our adjutant, except I will be moving to the adjutant position as an acting adjutant so that I can get access to our records. We actually have a lot of new members. So like, for example, Walter Watts just joined us a couple weeks ago, but he's now been put into an Illinois holding unit, and I have to move him from that holding unit to the post. Yes, Walter, the American Legion is just as bureaucratic as Colonel Wolgast will tell you MedCom was bureaucratic. Our chaplain is John Riccio, who will be giving our blessing very shortly. Our coach, Sisolak, is our squadron commander. James Conley, who I talked to today, and he's working very hard. He just got his webcam today. He's trying to get the thing working. So if Jim Conley appears out of nowhere, it's because he's been working on getting his webcam. We have currently on the record 28 paid members. 3 are outstanding. 2 of those individuals, actually all 3 of them, are not well. And so I just want to let you know, I have paid their members. So our membership will, for the first time in probably, help me out, somebody who's been around for a while, maybe Mr. Ruzika, our membership will go over 30 people for the first time in a few decades. So that's a good sign. And there, thank you, thank you, Colonel Wolgast. So the point is that my goal is to make us as virtual as possible. I will take members from everywhere, and I just got a notice 2 days ago that General Granger joined our post. So we now have Major General Granger as a member. So I have somebody from Colorado as a member, and my friend Colonel, former retired Krista Walsh. You remember her, Walter. She has joined, and she's living in Ohio. So we are going to be, let's put it this way, we were already international with our members from Berwyn, but now we are truly going to be international when we have people from other states. So we're growing, and then right now our squadron is at 15 people, which is great. So what I would like to do is, I don't have the vice commander here. So what I would ask at this point is if, is it Captain Troini? Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And you can salute if you got to cover wherever. I know this is not, we're not in the building, but, and by the way, don't all say the Pledge of Allegiance at the same time, because it'll be like my kids at school. It'll be a mess. Just let him do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you can render, they go 1, 2, and I'm still trying to figure out the whole 2 thing. So somebody will give me a class on that. Chaplain, could you give a prayer for the good of the order?
Yep. Guide us now in being friendly and generous toward one another. Instill in us faith and knowledge, and let us all have the ability to live in peace within ourselves. O Lord, show the people of our nation the right way to serve and guard the sacredness of all orderly freedoms. Let us realize that you have given us riches not given to any other nation under the sun, and let us be grateful and accept the responsibilities for which they entail. You are our God, and to you we would ascribe all glory and honor now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chaplain. By the way, Chaplain Riccio is working a lot. I think I sent him the book on how to be a great chaplain. Keep this up, and I'm nominating you for Chaplain of the Year. You just got to keep it up, all right? You know, come up with something clever every single meeting, you know, and I put you in, because there is an award, believe it or not, for great chaplains. Now, the vice commander still is not here. Who has their American Legion card? Who has their American Legion?
Commander.
Who's that? Who said that?
Mr. Ward.
Mr. Ward, would you do the preamble to the Constitution? And now, don't say it with everybody, or you can say it to yourself, but it makes a bad echo. So just let one person do it, okay? Go ahead, Mr. Ward, sir.
for God and country, we associate ourselves together for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate a 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in the Great Wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligations to the community, state, and nation, to combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses, to make right the master of might, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness.
All right, I officially declare our meeting is underway. I'm not going to be reading the minutes, but everybody should have gotten a copy of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those approve, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
The minutes have been approved. I've already introduced our guests today. We have Colonel Wolgast, our guest speaker, and we also have President Kenneth Coughlin. Madam President, thank you for being here. I will let you speak after our guest speaker, but we really appreciate you being here. And ma'am, where are you coming from? I want to know how international we truly are today. Where are you speaking from?
I'm just from Park Ridge, Illinois, but Sherry Knatzer is with us, and she's from Champaign, Illinois.
Oh, we do have international. So we have an Illini presence with us today. Go Illini. Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Ms. Conister, for being here. We appreciate it. I'm going to, I'd like to ask one of you to read the reading for today. Who basically can see the agenda? Anybody? Who can see the agenda? Okay, if not, I will read the agenda. I would like to do a reading of about a year ago. Everybody was saying we need to start our meetings with a reading of somebody who has passed in our unit. And I thought a lot, and then I realized that, we've talked a lot about people who have recently passed. Coach is always talking about the 54, but I think we should probably talk about some of the folks that died in the Great War, which is when the American Legion started. So I'm going to have this reading, and then we'll have a moment of silence, and then I will introduce our guest tonight. Reverend Hedley Cooper was the son of the Reverend Robert O. Cooper, who served as rector of the St. Paul Church in Riverside from 1908 to 1927. In 1914, at the age of 28, Reverend Cooper became priest in charge at St. Christopher Church in Oak Park, Illinois. For those of you who don't know or from out of state, Oak Park is where Ernest Hemingway was born. In 1917, Cooper departed for New York, where he joined the 71st New York Infantry, a National Guard unit. He served as a chaplain and attained the rank of captain. He also at some point became the rector of Christ Church in Piermont, New York. But Cooper didn't serve in France as part of a U.S. Army unit. Instead, he shipped off to Europe on February 8, 1918, as a civilian volunteer with the YMCA. According to the Summary of World War Work of the American YMCA, published in 1920, Cooper listed in the book's honor roll. In France, he was attached to the 42nd Division, 168 Infantry Regiment, which I believe people still refer to as the Rainbow Division, which was fighting in the Alsace-Lorraine region. In 1919, a member of that regiment, W.E. Robb, published his account of the regiment's service titled The Price of Our Heritage. In it, Robb paid tribute to those who died during the campaign. Reverend Cooper was among them. According to Robb, Cooper had been with the regiment but a few days and was in the very front line near the village of Nigra when the Germans launched its most terrible gas attacks. There are two accounts in Robert's book of just how Cooper died, and they conflict a bit. When the attack commenced, Cooper donned his gas mask and went out to see what he could do to help. Robb wrote in his entry on Cooper, Sergeant Wintrobe of Company A says Cooper came to him and volunteered to help in any way he could, so Wintrobe let him pilot a detail of men with ammunition down to front line, and while doing so was killed, quote unquote. In an entry on Halliday S. Smith, another another YMCA volunteer who died alongside Cooper. Rob wrote that the two men, quote, went forward to the front position to assist in the care of the wounded. A gas shell burst near them, and they did not realize its deadly nature until after a breath had been taken, unquote. The YMCA's book on the war states that Cooper died at the AEF hospital in Baccarat on May 26, 1918. He was buried initially at the French military cemetery in Baccarat, but his remains later were buried at Rockland Cemetery, about a mile from Christ Church, just outside Piermont. So one of our Riverside fallen is today buried in New York, but he came from Riverside, so I'd ask for a moment of silence. Okay, thank you, everybody. Again, we'll try to read. We'll try to read something from every month. Yes, Mr. Ward, sir.
Would you let Commissioner Toman in?
Yes. Thank you so much. I know
Commander
he's been working.
Joe.
He's been working very hard on this. Let's just make sure.
Sandy.
Commissioner Toman, do you hear us? He's been working hard on this all week.
Says connecting to audio.
Do you
Speak
hear
up.
us? Do you hear us, Lady Sandy?
We see you. Can you hear us? That's her calling me.
Well, let me just continue, Mr. Ward. If you can go mute and help him out, I would appreciate it. This is a
Commander
learning process.
Joe.
Yes.
This is Coach. I would like to add two very interesting chapters of very unique information to Reverend Hedley Heber Cooper's experience in World War I.
Okay, go ahead, and then we'll introduce our guest speaker.
Okay. The first interesting fact is that after he arrived at the battlefront and having been there for many weeks, he found a charred, burned church cross right on the battlefield, all blackened. It wasn't huge. It was maybe 3 feet by 2 feet. And he actually gathered up that cross with Jesus on it. He had it crated and shipped to Riverside. It is still presently in the Riverside Episcopal Church.
Wow, Coach, that's amazing.
The second very, I would say, unbelievable story that Reverend Hedley Cooper experienced and then continued even after he was killed in action. He carried with him a silver chalice, a silver cup for communion, and a silver little container to hold wafers so he could administer communion to all of the American soldiers who requested it. Sadly, during combat and his missions that he was given, he lost that silver chalice in France on the battlefield. Then, unbelievably, during World War II, an American soldier found it on the battlefield of World War II and packaged it, shipped it back to Riverside.
And where is it, Coach?
It's in Illinois. I believe it was moved from Riverside to the Episcopal Church in Oak Park.
Yeah, we need to invade Oak Park. It's time to consider invasion plans and recoup our wards. I don't know. Well, I'll talk to John Nipple about a task force that we can lead into Oak Park, because sometimes crossing the border can be a little difficult, especially when you hit the L stations. Okay, we'll work on that, Coach.
The nuclear-free zone.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Mr. Ward, sir.
The escape committee will start digging a tunnel to Oak Park.
Okay, good. That's it. Because, and by the way, for those of you who are from out of state, if you're not familiar with the Chicagoland area, this is just the way it is, and it always will be, and that's okay. It's okay. You know, I got to share a story with you before I introduce our guest speaker.
If you understand what's going on.
I used to be in the Illinois National Guard, and I remember the summer that I could not make it to annual training, and my unit went up to Camp Grayling, and I got a phone call that one of our howitzers blew up a house in Michigan. So I guess the moral of the story is that you got to be careful when an Illinois unit goes outside of the state. We may try to take over. All right, with that in note, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker today. For those of you who don't know, it was Nurses Week, or it was Nurses Day 2 days ago. So having a retired military nurse with Colonel Wolgast, and I will call you ma'am, Colonel Wolgast. I will always call her ma'am, and I will always call her Colonel, because that's just the way it is. I was the low guy on the totem pole forever, and that's the way it is. But she's also a doctor of nursing. So she's also a teacher. So she's a warrior, she's been a leader, she's a scholar, and she is a nurse. And you all should have seen her biography, but I knew of her when she was the commander at Fort Carson at Evans Military at Medical Training Medical MTF, Medical Treatment Facility, and then I knew her at MedCom. And what was nice is that she got to know so much about the law. She would send me little emails sometimes when she would hear about getting opinions from young JAGs, and she'd run them by me and say, "Do you want to talk to this young JAG? Because I think this is the wrong advice." That is what I call a great commander. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you all to Colonel Wolgast. Colonel Wolgast, I'm going to ask everybody to go on mute. You have the comm, if you will, and people might be asking questions on the chat, or you can wait until the end and they can ask you some great questions. And by the way, if you don't ask great questions, ladies and gentlemen, you're missing a great opportunity. You have you have the mic.
All right, thanks. I got it. I got the baton. So hello, good evening. Thank you all. What a great bunch of looking people here tonight. I'm calling in from or dialing in from Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, State College, Pennsylvania. You can see behind me, that is the Nittany Lion, the symbol of the Pennsylvania State University. I wish it was that sunny here right now, but as you guys know, those of you up here north, we have a little Alberta Clipper coming in over the weekend, so it's pretty darn chilly still. I tell everyone that I think even spring does not want to come during a pandemic. It's just the way it is. But I do want to thank Joe for reaching out to me. I've known Joe for many years, and appreciated all his counsel, his humor, and his contributions to the military. And as I look at all of you and I see your hats and your pins and all your service, I can tell that this group has got a significant contribution to our nation and to our military, and I am grateful to each and every one of you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about military nursing. Of course, we're in a pandemic, so I have to talk about COVID a little bit, and I will do so. And I'm happy to stay on afterwards and answer some questions. My goal is not to talk more than about 10 or 15 minutes. Is that about right, Joe? And I've got some slides, so I'm going to share my screen with you so that you will see that.
You have access to the screen, ma'am.
Yep. And Joe, let me know. Make sure you voice me and let me know that everybody can see this. Can you all see that?
Yep. Okay,
and I'm going to make them bigger. And then I will lose all of you. There we go. All right, so that is me. The DNP behind my name means Doctor of Nursing Practice. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a fellow in the American College of Healthcare Executives and a fellow in the American Academy of Nursing. And of course, as Joe told you, retired colonel, United States Army. Very proud. I'm a Penn State grad and went through ROTC. So my source of commission was ROTC. In 1985. So there you go. I am now dating myself. I'm going to talk a little bit of a few things, just a quick historical perspective. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the military healthcare system, just give you some numbers, especially nursing numbers, so you'll know. It's probably bigger than you think. A little bit about how we become nurses in the military. A little bit about our practice environments. I'll end up with talking about something about research and our scholarship, because we always are learning new ways and continuing to add to the body of knowledge in our profession. And then, as I said earlier, I'll be happy to answer questions. So that's me a while ago, not so long ago. I served till 2011, so not really that long ago. I did have a combat tour. I spent what I call a delightful year in Afghanistan. In Operation Enduring Freedom as the senior nurse executive of the theater at the time for the year. So that was quite an experience. I've also deployed in humanitarian operations as well. My current role, I'm the assistant dean for for outreach and professional development and an associate teaching professor at Penn State. So very glad to be back in Happy Valley, but I never thought I'd be back in Happy Valley. So this is what happens after, you know, your circle of military, right? It takes you and you never know where you're going to end up. And here's where I am right now. And I'm originally from Rochester, New York. So just to talk a little bit about, this is really, I think, important now to learn historic perspective. Joe mentioned Florence Nightingale and the Nurses Week. It is actually the 200th year anniversary of Florence Nightingale. And so we are celebrating that with the International Year of Nurses and the Midwife. That is globally, we're celebrating that. And so ironically, we are in a pandemic during this time. She, of course, is our amazing leader, the lady with the lamp, we call her. And she was definitely the pioneer of public health and modern nursing. And we often go back to a lot of the quotes that she stated back in the Crimea that are still very relevant and pertinent now. And then, of course, nurses have been in the military, or not in the military necessarily in uniform, but on the battlefield. I like to say on the battlefield and serving with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines since the beginning of time. Certainly in the Revolutionary War, we attended to the sick, and we certainly were right on the battlefield. Of course, the Civil War, we were part of the U.S. Sanitation Commission at that time. The Spanish-American War, we needed huge amounts of nurses because of the size of that conflict and the typhoid fever. So again, when sickness and illness takes hold of a military, nurses are needed all over the battlefield in order to care for them, to get them back to the fight as soon as possible, or at least care for them while they're being infirmed. The Army Nurse Corps is the oldest nurse corps and established in 1901. Navy followed soon after in 1908. And then I stuck in here the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, because obviously we're hearing about that now. And that is kind of a misnomer name. Actually, the origin of the cases was at Fort Riley, Kansas. So if anyone had been at Fort Riley, Kansas in your history, that is where the first case of the Spanish flu was actually detected here in the United States. It started here in the United States. Why it's called the Spanish flu is because when it did eventually get to Spain, the Spanish government named it. They called it a Spanish flu, and then it sort of stuck as the moniker, but it really originated here in the United States. And then our colleagues in the Air Force established their corps in 1949. It came along a little later, but we're glad they're here. So the military healthcare system, in case you didn't know, is huge, humongous, huge. The biggest healthcare system, of course, you probably already know, is the VA healthcare system in our nation. That's the largest one. But the military healthcare system is not, it's kind of like just a smaller cousin. 50 billion budget, about 9.4 million people that it serves, hundreds of thousands of people that it employs, and there's lots of facilities and clinics and dental clinics and public health things and preventive med and veterinary. There's lots of components to it all over the world. But it's a sizable entity, that's for sure, and will continue to be, I think, going forward, even though they've reorganized about 10 times in my career. And just so you know, here's some numbers so that you kind of know the amount that we have. This graphic is from the military healthcare system. It's not that old, it's probably within a year old, so pretty, I think, accurate. So a little over 14,000 Army nurses, almost 6,000 Navy nurses, 6,000 Air Force. DHA is the Defense Health Agency. The Coast Guard is on here, the Public Health Service. So about 27,000 nurses in uniform that are serving in various capacities. So that's a significant number of nurses. I'm proud to be one of those. So how do we become Army nurses or any kind of nurse in the military? Actually, we are mostly all BSN prepared. That's Baccalaureate of Science in Nursing. That's the 4-year degree at the universities to enter service. That's what we want when our nurses come in as lieutenants, second lieutenants. As we grow and rank in leadership in the military, we also grow in our education. A lot of military nurses have master's degrees and certainly higher degrees. So you get that, and sometimes the military pays for that, which is kind of nice. They actually paid for my undergraduate with my ROTC scholarship and my graduate degree at Vanderbilt University. That was my master's. I used my GI Bill for my doctoral degree, and I earned another master's at the War College. So I like to say all of my education was courtesy of Uncle Sam and our tax dollars. So I thank you all very much for that. That's good. I told you earlier that I came through ROTC, so that is one way that people can come into nursing through ROTC. Certainly we have folks come in direct commission, which means they complete nursing school. they earn their degree as well as their license as a professional nurse, and then they can be commissioned into the military. Scholarships are available, and there are many specialties in the military. And so I named all of them here, or a lot of them here. Obviously, our public health and our behavioral health and our emergency trauma, our intensive care, all of these are coming into play right now during the pandemic. So that's a good thing. And then we have what we call residency programs. The residency programs are where we bring in new nurses who are coming out of school, and they get some mentoring, some long-term mentoring, so that they are welcomed into the service well, not only professionally, but as officers, and to help them ease into the military, into their practice successfully. And so that's a good attribute that we have for military nurses. And those residency programs are usually at the major medical centers that are positioned in the larger cities around our country, from Seattle down to San Diego to Portsmouth to San Antonio, where Joe is. And let's see, there's plenty of them around the country. All right. Oh, now it's stuck. There we go. So our practice area is, we practice in a lot of different areas. So we obviously can practice in medical centers and hospitals and clinics. We're in the United States, we're outside of the United States, we're everywhere. The only place I think we're not is in the International Space Station at this time. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll send a military nurse up there. We certainly have military providers, or we have a doc. We just had a doc go up recently. And they're state-of-the-art facilities. Most of you have served in the military, and so you know that our facilities are very comparable to civilian facilities. We're very proud of that. We have the technology, we have the resourcing to do what we need to do. Even if it's in field environments, we have really strong technology and equipment to work in the field as well. And then it's a multidisciplinary team. We can't do our role without all the other people in healthcare in the military that help us care for our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and the family members. Really important. So lots of missions as well. Full spectrum nursing leadership. You know, as officers in the military, leadership just comes with the duty. And then there's the clinical side. So we are here to provide clinical care as well as leadership in nursing and in healthcare. There's peacetime, wartime ops, humanitarian ops. We do nation building as well, and land, sea, and air. And I'm going to show you a few pictures about that. We can perform nursing in all of those avenues, land, sea, and air. And actually, I've had the privilege of doing all of that, which is kind of a nice rounding to my, even though I was in the Army, I had the opportunity to work on sea and in air platforms as well during my career, which is very nice. Very nice experience, I think. All right, so let me just touch on a little bit of the COVID. We're in it. It's going to be around for a while. Obviously, we're going to call it the pandemic of 2020 and beyond, because we certainly really don't know how long it's going to last. But as those of you reading the news or seeing, we've had military deploy in support of this pandemic to respond in our nation. Very similar to a humanitarian operation, although mostly I would call it an urban response, right? So going to the places that had hotspots that needed help, and those are mostly in the larger urban places. So I put this graphic up because it really gives you a nice sense of what the DoD, the Department of Defense response has been to COVID. And this is a very recent graph. I think it was a couple days ago the graphic was made, so it's very current. But as you can see, out of the 63,000 DoD persons, a lot of them, 2,600 of them plus, are doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, and medical support personnel. And in collaboration with the Army Corps of Engineers, which is USACE there, where they built those temporary hospital or bedded facilities for patient care very quickly in a lot of places, certainly out in Seattle, up in New York, in the Jersey area, and other places as well. So that's very good. And they're coming from all different components. So it's not just active, it's the reserves, it's the National Guard that have been operationalized. Here, the next down here on the sites, it talks about the urban augmentation medical task forces, where those are. It's the Mercy. The Mercy went up to Los Angeles for a little while, and then the Comfort, the hospital ship Comfort, went from Portsmouth up to New York for a little while. to care for patients as needed in those areas. So really, these medical facilities, these detachments or these mobile units can go anywhere. We could operate anywhere. And I'll show you a little bit, some pictures of when I was at Operation Katrina of what those facilities can look like stood up. Of course, the DoD provided healthcare support in the way of ventilators and masks, test swabs, diagnostic and laboratory equipment as well. While that extends beyond nursing, it's still part of the healthcare mission because we try to help whenever we can. So this is very unusual. Obviously, we don't necessarily deploy active duty in the continental United States like this. We do obviously deploy the National Guard and the reservists to when we have these kind of national or natural disasters that happen. But if you recall, the biggest thing about the COVID is it's a global and it's a United States. So it's affecting all of us, right? All of us. So it's not like it's just one part of the country getting affected where other parts of the country can come to bear and send all the resources down there like you would after a hurricane or a flood or fires. This is really affecting all sorts of everybody in the United States. And so governors, rightly so, are kind of holding on to their resources and trying to ensure that their state has got the necessary need. And so DoD, the nice part about DoD is they can look at it from a national perspective and move things around as needed. And I expect that they'll continue to do that as this persists. So here's just a photo I wanted to share with you. This is very current. This is the machine there is an electrocardiogram. That's the machine that you put the little things on your chest and you check your heart. And these are reservists or guardsmen, I think out of New Jersey, that are looking at that. Look at, they have all their different kinds of masks on, which some are homemade. I bet some of those were gifts to them. But they're doing some training in preparation to care for patients in the Jersey area. This is up in Massachusetts, just a nurse leader talking with someone there. But again, they've got their masks on, and obviously that's the right way to go and care for. And she has her RN tag there, so you don't need to really know who she is as a colonel. You can just look at her and say she's a registered nurse. You know she's a leader doing what she needs to do. The fact that she has a colonel means she's probably in charge of something, or she can be the boss of something, which is great. But you know she's a registered nurse because she puts that right on out there. It's even, her RN is even bigger than her bird there, which is that. I mean, that's important, right? The RN is bigger than the bird, so that means she's taking her role as a registered nurse very seriously and wants everybody to know who she is. Joe mentioned earlier that he knew me as commander of Fort Carson, Colorado, the MEDAC out there, Evans Army Community Hospital, named after Don Evans, who was a Medal of Honor recipient from Vietnam. And this is the beautiful facility, obviously in the Cheyenne Mountain range, just down the road from Pikes Peak. I was very privileged to command this facility and care for a catchment of, oh gosh, over 150,000 beneficiaries in the Colorado Pikes Peak area. And so this is what that hospital looks like if you have not seen it. It's beautiful, so if you ever get to Colorado Springs, I encourage you to go drive by. I wanted to show you kind of, these are what the mobile hospital and the tents will look like. So nurses will be in these along with other healthcare providers. This happens to be our hospital, the 14th Combat Support Hospital from New Orleans after Operation Katrina, during the flooding of the Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Rita. People forget that Katrina was followed by another hurricane. There was actually 2 hurricanes, Hurricane Rita. And we set up, this is at the New Orleans, Louisiana, NOLA, they call it, airport, where we first set up, and then we had to move because of the second hurricane. But you can see those tented structures can carry a lot of beds. They can either sleep people or they can be care facilities. And the conics are where we put all our equipment, of course, to store it and keep it safe. Here's another setup at the New Orleans airport. That's a fully functioning 250-bed hospital. While we were in New Orleans, I call it my biblical experience because it was 40 days and 40 nights in the flood. We saw over 1,000 patients and did a lot of great community outreach and humanitarian efforts for the people of the greater New Orleans area and all the parishes there. The lighter tents there, those are operations tents, and so you could tell they were kind of in the center there, and then the hospital around it, and then the connexes. We put the connexes wherever we could. We actually went to the port of New Orleans and got some equipment there to move these heavy connexes, which was great. This unit deployed from Fort Benning, Georgia on the truckers took the hospital over there. We did not fly this hospital over there. We went to road. And so I'm eternally grateful for 18-wheeler truckers who support the military and help us get there. It took a bunch of trucks out of Fort Benning, Georgia, but we made it happen. And if you recall, during that time, the whole South down there in New Orleans and Mississippi, they had really destroyed infrastructure. So we had to bring everything with us, like they're doing in some places now during COVID, so that they can keep their supplies. This is inside the New Orleans Convention Center. We had to move the hospital inside, so we did a different configuration. And so everything from in the middle there with the generator, I think that was our pharmacy actually, and to all the different places that you have to set something up to make it run like a hospital. It's great because they can be configured any way possible. If you saw the pictures of the tents in Central Park that were set up by Samaritan's Purse, you could see how they were set up too. They had a different setup there. It was for folks that were not that ill, but needed some respite care. This here, we had full ICU capacity, surgical capacity, and we used it. Again, another view from one of the crosswalks over the convention center of how a hospital could be set up and how you can move these things around to make whatever need you have for the healthcare. And obviously the flag, you see the flag there, that's obviously the command tent. So I just took some pictures in New Orleans. I wanted to show them to you. This is the type of thing that nurses will respond to, and we're prepared to do that. So we can really practice in any environment. And this one was definitely bad, just as it is in some of these hospitals that are seeing so many COVID patients that are very stressful. In PPE, where you're covered with mask and goggles and gowns for hours and hours at a time, doing 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Very, very rigorous and stressful situation for our healthcare providers and nurses. And so this gives you the land, sea, and air view of this. I wanted to show you the inside of the aircraft. If those of you if you haven't seen how an aircraft is configured to take patients, that's one down there in the lower left. Some more pictures of inside the Army. And then on the right there is that's actually the Comfort. I took these pictures, and the ship, I was on the Comfort and did some training with the Comfort, and here that's the inside of their intensive care unit, which was used up in New York, and then just a picture of the outside where they're one of their rescue boats that they have there on the Comfort. And those things are huge. So if you have not seen one of these in person, I highly recommend when you get to San Diego, you get to Portsmouth, if you go down to the port and take a peek at them. They are humongous. They have a capacity of 1,000 beds, although they didn't bring 1,000 beds, I don't think, up to LA or New York, but they have the capability. There is a standing crew that keeps them working while they're in port, and then when they are activated, they bring in just tons of people, either active duty, reserve, National Guard, civilians who come, and they augment that ship to provide the care to ensure that they have 1,000 bed capability of care, which is huge. It is a hospital size, without a doubt. So I encourage you, they have ramps. So obviously the care is done underneath here, and they have lots of ramps. So there's a lot of pushing and walking in this thing. But it's a big, huge cargo ship that was retrofitted, and they're very old too. These are not new, these are old ships, but they do the trick when we need them, that's for sure. And this beautiful picture, obviously, of that, the Comfort in New York Harbor. So these are Air Force nurses doing some training. These are what Air Force kits look like that go into an airplane. They have different ways of configuring folks so they're safe in the skies when they travel, and they're doing some training there. So I talked to you a little bit. I mean, obviously we have wartime roles. We could just take anything that we need, either small, large, or huge capacity, and move it. And that's what we've done in COVID. That's what we've done in Iraq, Afghanistan, everything from Vietnam. I mean, everything from day one. We can move things around. We just have gotten better at it over the years. And so when you see when you watch the show MASH, and you see what they do in MASH, I mean, that is not far off from what is still being done in forward surgical teams. Now, the equipment and the way that we can move patients is much quicker and much more modern, but I'll tell you, doing the same type of battlefield surgery and recovery and moving patients back to the United States is the goal. And in increasing survivability, I mean, that's what we want to do, is increase survivability. And so that's what we do. as nurses. Just a couple of photos of me over in Afghanistan. Some beautiful people that live there, unfortunately, in a very not so beautiful place. It's a beautiful country if it weren't for all the mines and the bad guys. That's what I like to say. I was privileged to serve over there, but I do wish the best for the people of Afghanistan going forward. And we did a lot of great work over there in the year that we were there. I'll finish a little bit about talking about research and scholarship. So obviously nurses are academic as well, and we try to do research so that we can advance and improve the way that we care for patients, both on the battlefield and back home. We collaborate with academia, with our national nursing partners. We're all professional nurses, so we all went to school in civilian schools, but we all are part of our national organizations as well. And that's important that we connect with nurses around the United States so that we can stay current with them and they stay current with us, and that a lot of us will lead too in our organizations. We'll be leaders in those organizations. And we've had a real big impact on things like the trauma registry. The trauma registry that started during Iraq and Afghanistan was really led and managed by Army nurses and military nurses, not just Army nurses, but military nurses, so that we have all that data on battlefield wounds and how that we can care for them better, patients better. And then of course we have a National Honor Society for Nursing called Sigma that many nurses are members of. So again, we care for our nation's military. Nowadays, during COVID, we are caring for everybody. And it doesn't matter really if you were in a uniform. You've got COVID up in New York and the military is there, we're gonna take care of you. I don't think we know how to say no. We know we take care of everybody, which is a privilege. And that's why I've been pleased to be a nurse for 35 years. It's my 35th anniversary date of graduation from Penn State this month. We actually have our, thanks Joe, we actually have our virtual, Penn State of course obviously is not having an in-person graduation. We're having our virtual graduation ceremony tomorrow. So 35 years ago this month I was commissioned and graduated from Penn State. So it's kind of a historic time in many, many ways. I have a picture of me there in Bamiyan province in Afghanistan. And I'm really, really glad. I hope I helped you understand a little bit about what military nurses are doing. And I'm really happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks, Joe.
So I'll throw it open to everybody, but just for the record, I want everybody to know that I was made an honorary military nurse many years ago. And every year I buy a birthday cake for the Army nurses birthday party in San Antonio. Been doing it for like almost a decade now.
That's
so I'm just
awesome.
letting everybody know that I am totally biased when it comes to Army nurses. Why? Because they provide general counsels with great information on what's going on in the wards. Trust me, I knew more about what's going on at Madigan sometimes than the commander did. That's good.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Marla.
So I am not military affiliated, but I do have my certified nursing assistant certificate, and it's still active. And I was wondering what you think throughout the summer, what the need is going to be for something like that.
Yeah, that is a great question. So most of the states have activated a volunteer registry for healthcare personnel. So I would say go to your state government website and look for that registry. And now I know they're looking for nurses and doctors and respiratory therapists, but there may be some volunteer opportunities for certified nursing assistants or LPNs or folks of that ilk, other types of healthcare people. Put your name on a volunteer list, and I bet you somebody will call you. When you tell them that you know and you're comfortable being with people who are ill, they like that.
Thank you.
And by the way, it doesn't even have to be in your state. Most of the states now have done what we call reciprocity. So if I wanted to go to New York right now, I'm licensed in a few states, but I'm not licensed currently in New York. If I wanted to go there, then I could go there and practice on my Pennsylvania license. So a lot of them are doing reciprocity because they want volunteers to come. And just as a little note, so the Army sent out all of us retired or kind of what I called old nurses, old medical people, to see if we wanted to come back and volunteer. And they've got thousands of people that actually signed up to volunteer. And I work at Penn State and I have a full-time role here, so I decided not to volunteer at this time. But they could recall me as well. I mean, we're always, as you know, we're always part of the military till we die. I think even then they put a flag on us, right? So we're still part of it even when we die. But I do have a friend, a colleague who is a colonel, and she was a retired recall, and so she just reported to Fort Benning, Georgia last weekend, and is going to serve for her 179 days or less in a retired recall status. So there's thousands of people going back to do this that are healthcare related military personnel at the request of the Department of Defense. And that helps. I mean, she can go back and work in a medical treatment facility because the active duty there have been asked to go somewhere else. They're going to a COVID site or they're deploying and they need a backfill. And so that's the role that she's going to do. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is PTSD still a big problem?
So thank you very much, Mr. Newman. Yeah, you know, I think so. I think we still have those entities that kind of made the news back during Iraq and Afghanistan, and certainly since our Vietnam days, are still prevalent in the military. I think we have everything from suicide and PTSD and military sexual trauma. Those are still, we're still battling that. There is no solution, to my knowledge, that we have done to really reduce that. And of course, those of us that are veterans, we know it's still very prevalent in the veteran community all over our country. And this pandemic is certainly not going to help, right? It's just adding more stress to the population. Now, some of the cities, I am reading how they are looking, and they're taking the empty hotels and they're relocating veterans into the hotels, which will help, I think. But again, we have to have some long-term solutions. And I'm sorry to say that it is still the battle. I think the battle wounds of combat or being in the military are stressful no matter the generation. And we still have a generation that is suffering. Thank you for that. So I don't know when you served, Mr. Newman. When did you serve?
62, 65.
So yeah, a very significant era you served in. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Mr. Ward.
Colonel Wolgast, as a Navy corpsman who served multiple tours in Vietnam, I want to say thank you to all Army nurses, because without you, we have lost many more than we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I worked with many Army and Navy nurses in 4 tours in Vietnam, and you're underappreciated.
Well, I don't know. I kind of love Navy corpsmen too. Navy corpsmen have skills that are amazing. And so I want to thank you too for the skills that you brought, because I know that you comforted those who needed it, and actually made some really hard decisions in order to take care of the wounded and the ill and the injured. We forget it's not just the wounded, right? It's the injured and it's the ill. And over in Vietnam, there were so many things going on. I mean, obviously the injuries of battle, but just the injuries of being in that climate and in that area of operations was extremely, extremely hard on our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines at the time. So thank you, Mr. Ward. I appreciate it.
I'll give it one more question, and then I'll close it. And then Colonel Wolgast, I would like you can stay on if you'd like to listen. It'd be great if you listen to President Coughlin, because I think you would make an incredible speaker for Girl State in Illinois. Oh, yeah. Just throwing that out. You would be a wonderful person. If I was a girl, I would.
You are biased.
I am biased. Yeah, I am. Okay, you're right. Okay, one more question. Greg?
I got a quick question. Colonel Wolgast, number one, thank you for everything you've done, your service. Appreciate it. I monitor about 7 or 8 different sources to monitor the COVID-19 outbreak. And I've noticed, I mean, it seems like to me it takes a full-time job to be able to sift through all the information. And I'm sure you know that there's a lot of misinformation out there. Is there anything that is not widely known that should be brought to our knowledge? I mean, I see things being over-reported, COVID-19 deaths or other deaths being reported as COVID-19 when they're clearly a different cause. Various things like that. Is there anything that you know of that we should be aware of?
Yeah, so my favorite site right now is the Johns Hopkins reporting site.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, the Hopkins site, I think you will not go wrong using that one. Right now, I encourage folks to go to the reading part, right? The television, not so much, in my opinion. I agree the television becomes a little bit sensationalized, and then the politics creep in. If you can get to the academic written stuff from the CDC, from the Johns Hopkins, and from the epidemiology sources of our nation, which there are several, that to me is the most consistent. You know what else though too is, don't forget that this is global, and there are some really good sites from Germany managing what they are doing. And so if you can get to the English side of the German websites and read what they're doing, South Korea as well, New Zealand is doing a pretty good job. So that you look at it from more of a global perspective. But the Hopkins one is my favorite right now.
The one thing that I've noticed that seems to be blown out of proportion is that the media is always reporting the cumulative amount of cases since the beginning of the outbreak. They are not reporting the active number of cases. Yeah. Illinois has been reporting the active number of cases. For instance, they've tested and confirmed 73,000 plus cases in Illinois. However, there are only 4,800 that are currently hospitalized. Approximately 1,266 of those are in the ICU, and of those, 766 are on ventilators. So that's the numbers that are not widely reported. And I tried to educate people that tell me, oh, we've got over 1.2 million cases in the United States, but the amount of active cases, the people who have already recovered and the people who have died, are not subtracted from that number in the reports. And that's the thing that it's really important.
Right, and then you can go look and dive down into, they give daily updates or weekly updates, and that will help give kind of the current. But I would like to offer a suggestion though, or a perspective on that. While they are cumulative numbers, remember, that is also taking away capacity because it's used capacity. And so if hospitals and places that are caring can't replenish the supplies that they need for the newer cases, remember, it's taking a toll on our healthcare system, a very big toll. The other thing is we've had dozens of healthcare providers that have died in our nation alone, and thousands, nearly almost, I think it's about I can't remember, I think it's either 60 or 90,000 globally, healthcare people that have died. Yes. And we have hundreds of thousands that have been ill in our nation, to include some of my students here at Penn State who are practicing out in the globe here. So remember, from a capacity perspective, I agree with you that the numbers look big when they're static. So you do have to look at the numbers, I think, from trends and looking at trends over time. Mm-hmm. But it has taken a heck of a licking on our healthcare system. Without
the one last thing before I finish up is that the testing has been ramped up. I mean, almost every day they're increasing the amount of testing per day, and that what they're doing is because we identify more cases of it. It makes some people think that there are more infections. So we're simply identifying those that are already existing because we're ramping up the testing, and that affects the infection rate and the death rate at the same time.
Correct. That is exactly right. It's about the math. Exactly right.
Yep. Good thing I was a machinist for 20 years. I can do the math.
But you're thinking you're coming at it with an analytical perspective, and that's what we need to keep in mind.
Thank you very much, Colonel.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, thank you very much. If you want to hang on, other than that, on behalf of Riverside Post 488, I'm going to get you some Aunt Diana's fudge so that you can enjoy the fudge that comes from Riverside. And then I'm going to get you a copy of the book I wrote about my late mother. I think you would love my mother. I think she would love you. I'm sorry you never got a chance to meet her when I was still at MedCom.
But I meet her through you, Joe.
Oh yeah. I'll drive you nuts just like she would, and that's okay. That's okay.
Thanks,
so you can stay on or you can go, but we are appreciative to you. And again, I would like to connect you with the president of the auxiliary at a later time, because you may be a great speaker to inspire some young ladies to do some incredible things. Okay.
Be happy to chat.
And that's a great segue, because we have kind of a guest speaker, but kind of somebody I asked to come and talk to you all, because one of the things on new business is the idea of starting an auxiliary for the post. I've said it over and over again. I think Marla Curran is an incredible person. I want her to have an American Legion hat, but she's not a son of an American Legion member. She's not a veteran, but she is somebody who supports veterans. I have Walter Watts now, whose wife is very interested in starting up an auxiliary. There is a desire out there. I wanted you all to hear from the president, and I'm honored that we have the president of the Illinois State Auxiliary to come and talk to you about what an auxiliary is and what we can do and what it really means. So, Madam President, would you take a few minutes of our time and sell the concept? Pitch the best you can pitch. They're yours, ma'am.
Thank you. First of all, thank you all for your service, and thank you for having us and listening to us this evening. I'm very happy to be here. I am from up in Northern Illinois, so I'm close to most of you. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the department or state president this year, which has been our 100th anniversary. We started right after the Legion, so the Legion had the honor of doing it last year, and we had the honor of doing it this year, although our year was just a little bit different. We kind of ended in March, so I have also brought with me tonight Sharon Knatzer. She has served as our department president in the past, and she has also served as a past national president. To this day, she still serves at the department level as our mentor and guidance counselor. So I'm happy to have her with me. I am a 24-year member. She is a much longer member. I think she joined when she was born, so she has a lot more experience than I do. But it's wonderful to be part of the auxiliary. I joined through my husband. He just kind of volunteered me into doing it. I fell in love with the group. I've met so many wonderful people in doing this, and supporting our veterans, the military, and their families has been a wonderful opportunity for me. And especially working together with the Legion as a family at our post and unit, it really joins you together and the SAL, and we can work together at our programs, and most of our programs are quite alike. We have different little things, but a lot of them are alike, and we support each other. I'm trying to think what else. What would you like to know? We have wonderful
how do we start an auxiliary, and what is it the benefit to us? Because we have people, you have people here that have spouses,
yes,
and you have people here that have girls who are not sons.
Right.
So there's this, and so I hate to say this, but it's kind of sexist, but I get it. So how do we work around it? Okay. And my mother was a member of the auxiliary, so I grew up. I grew up, like you will be a son of the American Legion. I got my card here, and according to my card, I was a member of the Sons of the American Legion for 34 years. So that tells you something. So tell everybody what the benefit is, because I think what's going to happen is I'm going to try to draft somebody or somebody's spouse to help in developing to develop our own auxiliary.
Thank you. Commander Joe, Sue asked me to come on and help out with this. She's right. My parents joined me up when I was probably just a few days old, and I have belonged my entire life and live, eat, and breathe the American Legion family. I want to tell you that I also knew your mom personally. I was very active in Girl State. Absolutely love that woman. A lot of us down there miss her terribly. So I just want you to know that those of you that didn't know his mom, you missed a real treat. You knew where she was coming from and what she believed in. And what she believed in was Girl State and Boy State for the American Legion family. So thank you for that, Joe, and thank you for this opportunity. The American Legion Auxiliary, as Sue told you, has been around now 100 years. We're looking at different things now. The eligibility for the American Legion Auxiliary is a female veteran, or it can be a spouse, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, a daughter, a granddaughter of an American Legion member. Now, with that said, if your eligibility for the American Legion Auxiliary is living, they must belong to the American Legion. If your eligibility is deceased, then they do not need to obviously belong or have ever belonged to the American Legion. Colonel, I recognized right away the Penn State behind you. I retired from the University of Illinois, and my last boss was a Penn State grad, and I heard a lot about it when Illinois played Penn State. So absolutely knew that right away. So our auxiliary members are from junior members are from 0 to 18. They are all part of the American Legion Auxiliary. You mentioned hats. The auxiliary does not have hats, but we have beautiful pins and ribbons that will fix you right up, Marla, once we get your unit formed. What we need are 10 American Legion Auxiliary eligible people. Now, you talk about ladies, but I want to tell you that at our national convention last year, our bylaws were changed to include male spouses of veterans. Now, that doesn't mean all veterans can join the auxiliary.
I can't get a pin? I can't get a pin. No pin.
Well, no.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. You probably have your mother's though, right?
I do actually.
But so I would be happy to go over all that with you. I'd be happy to meet with Marla, whatever works. I can come up, Sue, and I would be happy to meet with her and explain it all. But I love the idea of the Zoom meeting. I absolutely love this. I love the idea of the family that you have going. I love the guest speaker idea. You've given me some really good ideas to take back to my own unit. I just think the Zoom unit's good. The American Legion Auxiliary does have several, I call them E-units across the nation. And so you could belong, like you say, if you're all over the United States, you can belong to the same E-unit. You could do community service projects together in your own community, but report your hours together. The Poppy, I read the Poppy information that you sent, Joe. Kudos, that sounds really great. It sounds fun. There's lots of things you could do together as a family, even though being spread throughout. You can work the programs in your own local area with poppies, service to veterans. If you auxiliary unit could want to do things to serve the veterans in the local nursing homes. As many of you know, a lot of the VA beds, some of those have contracted beds in local nursing homes. So those veterans lots of times don't always have that contact with local peoples. Well, that's where our American Legion Auxiliary family comes into play, being able to go to those places. Now, we know the HIPAA rules and everything are in place, but lots of times you can work with them and they'll tell you how many veterans are there, bring the veterans, ask them if they want to meet with you. So there's always that aspect where you could help veterans as an auxiliary. The Poppy program, community service, teaching kids about flag etiquette. There's essay contests, Poppy poster contests, which you can win a lot of money, where it could be an American Legion family project. So there's lots of things, and I know Sue and I are happy to share with you on those things. My eligibility is through my father, who was World War II and Korea. And I'm happy to say that he is alive and kicking at 94 years old. And he's been a vital part of my life and of the American Legion in the Department of Illinois. He served as department commander back in '87, '88. So, and my mom was a past state president also. So it's in our blood. I love this organization more than I can probably tell you, but I am here if any of you need any help doing that. Sue is leading us just amazing. She has been, I call, drafted since our department convention and national convention's been canceled. She will be serving another year as our state president. So this is an appropriate time, Joe, that you came to us and asked us. We can get the paperwork together. We can talk to you, like 2 or 3 on the line and get it all figured out. But we are more than happy, and we would welcome your American Legion Auxiliary Unit with open arms.
Absolutely, we would. It would be fun to have you.
Could we have a motion to start a what do we call it? What, Jason, help me out, Vice Commander. Vice Commander's here. A investigatory group or committee, or what do you think?
Exploratory. I think the word is explore.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Could I have a motion for an exploratory committee, and maybe I could get Walter Watts's spouse and Marla together to maybe look into it, then I can assist. Is that a problem? Would that be okay, Walter? I know you told me your wife was interested.
Yes, absolutely. That would be okay.
Is your wife there? I don't want to get you in trouble.
She is here, and she says yes.
Okay. Okay. Good. Because the last thing I want to do, Walter, is get you into trouble. I don't need that in my life.
Since you're stuck in the house, yeah.
Okay. So
could I make a motion that we form an exploratory committee to set up our own squadron of our own ladies auxiliary.
And that would be with Marla and Walter. What's your wife's name? I'm sorry.
It's Laura Watts.
Laura Watts. So those two people will be on the exploratory committee. And just so you know, Sharon or Madam President, once you're president, you're always a president. They'll get a pin, but they'll also get a cap. That's something our unit agreed on a long time ago, that when you join our post, we pay for your cap. So
second the motion, Joe.
Auxiliary.
Okay, I know there isn't a hat, but you can get a hat, so we will get them a hat because you understand. My late mother said you can't be a member of if you're a member of Legion, you got to have a cap. She used to say that. So I follow that rule. Everybody gets a cap. I'm sorry, it sounds like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, but life is the way it is. Everybody gets a cap.
I would be happy to share my phone number with Marla and Laura if they would like to call me, and Sue would too. So tell us when you're ready for that, Mr. Commander.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And congratulations, Marla, and congratulations to Walter's wife. God bless you. Laura, God bless you both. And now, everybody, we've had we've had a great guest speaker. We've had people talk to us about the auxiliary. I just wanted to go through some committee stuff and wrap things up with some last minute stuff, some business. First of all, Jason, I talked to Mr. Neppel, to John. I know he's been calling people. Mr. Ward, Jason, you guys, have you been calling people? That's all I need to know. Have we been reaching out to people in our unit and talking to them? Anybody give me a heads up? Tell me.
Tony definitely has.
Okay.
Yes.
John,
Commander,
you've been calling.
Just looking at our screen for this week, we have now almost exceeded screen capacity. We have now gotten almost 20 people on our meeting from the first one, in which we only had 6 of us. And that's pretty impressive in 2 months.
Well, we are going to get larger, and the intent is to try to become more international, because I'd like to find somebody from Cicero. If we get somebody from Cicero, we have attained greatness in terms of internationality. See, Jason's laughing because he gets it. He understands it. He understands the inside joke, and that's good. It's good. I'm okay with that. So, John, have you been talking to people? John, unmute. Okay. I unmuted you, John. You know, this happens to John. Every so often, you're muted, John. Just give me a heads up that you've been talking to people. Okay. John's been talking to people. Good. Because remember what the national commander is saying, buddy checks. We're not doing food. We're not doing food distribution. We're not doing stuff. We are becoming more and more of a hybrid unit. We're very virtual. So let's talk to people. Remember, every Wednesday at 4:30, I am here and I am ready to talk to people. So far, it's been Mr. Ward and Greg and Jason. We shot the crap on Wednesday, and I love it. I love talking to you guys. But remember, I have a commander's call every Wednesday so people can connect with us. And if they have a problem, they can come on and say, hey, Commander Topinka, or just Joe, that's fine. Just Joe is fine. I got a problem with Heinz. Who do I need to talk to? Well, Tony's online here. Tony, everybody. Whose head do we need to knock a little bit?
It's go right to the director or the chief of medical services, and I will not hesitate to use those calls if needed.
So it's important that everybody knows that. So keep talking to people. So that's the first thing. The second of all is public relations, Poppies, Riverside Bank. Marla, do you want to tell everybody what's going on, and we'll just jump to your report, even though it says Joe, but it's really kind of you. What's going on with the Poppies? Tell us, everybody. Tell everybody what's going on. Give us our Marla report.
Okay, so everybody, we have started the virtual Poppy campaign that started on May 1st. As we all know, Poppy Day is May 22nd. Because of the stay-at-home order, because poppies are, for some reason, non-essential, we had to improvise. So we created a virtual poppy. If everybody has a Facebook, could I share my screen for a second? Maybe
You
I
got
should
it.
show
Go ahead. Go ahead. Show it.
Hold on, I gotta get to the screen.
So you're doing great.
We started a virtual poppy. Your Facebook profile picture can have a frame around it. I am getting to it right now.
It's okay.
You might have to get him.
Hey, if the Supreme Court justice could have issues with their oral arguments, don't worry about it. We can. Justice Ginsburg the other day actually had a problem with her mute button. I thought that was beautiful. I'm sorry, but I just thought it was wonderful. I mean, I love her to death.
This is what, can everybody see?
Yep, we see it.
So this is the frame. It says Virtual Poppy Day, May 22nd, 2020. American Legion Post number 0488. And we have the poppies there. We have the American flag. So you can change your profile picture to have this frame around it. Most people have used frames before, whether it's been for Mother's Day, Father's Day, the quarantine, staying in, or something similar. We are requesting a donation of $2, which is the price of the physical poppy. If you use the frame, that's donated through PayPal. I have the PayPal link. It's also on our website. Please check the website out if you have not. Please like the Facebook page if you have not, and subscribe for emails if you have not. Otherwise, for physical poppies, thanks to the donations of Mr. Troiani and Mr. Frega, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, the Riverside Bank, we're going to type up a mini flyer explaining the importance of Poppy Day and why they're getting the poppy. So members of the bank who use the drive-through service or however they're doing their banking, they'll receive a poppy. Also, we mentioned Riverside Foods, right?
Yep.
Riverside Foods is being very proactive during the
Oh, wait, hang on.
coronavirus.
Mr. Frega, let Mr. Frega say something. Go ahead, Mr. Frega.
Riverside Bank is closed now because they don't have a drive-in. Is that still active for us?
It's First American Bank, Mr. Frega. We're going to be using First American. That's where our bank account is.
American Bank is fine.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm relieved. We're okay, Marla. We're good. He's happy. As long as he's happy, I'm happy.
And then, so Riverside Foods has been really proactive. And they're doing a lot of elderly deliveries too. So that might be a great way to get poppies out for people who normally donate for poppies and aren't able to unfortunately get one this year. So I think people in Riverside, people in nearby surrounding towns, because Post 488 doesn't have a physical building, I feel like sometimes people might forget about it a little bit. So the more we get out, the more the poppies get out, the more we're on social media, the more people see the name American Legion Post 0488, the more they're going to remember. So this is just another way to just get out there and be seen.
Marla, have you considered working with the local food pantries to maybe give out a poppy?
So I have it. I know Heinz has one going.
Yes.
But I don't know if the other food pantries are working still, are they?
The only ones that have been shut down that I'm aware of is the one, the Christian Life Center at 34th and Grove in Berwyn. Beyond Hunger in Oak Park is still running. Ebenezer, Catholic Charities, Heinz, all of those are still running as far as I'm aware.
Okay, that's good to know. Is Heinz doing anything for that?
Yes, as a matter of that, I'm not aware.
As far as I am aware, Heinz is still completely shut down for all things other than emergencies. Any non-essential treatments are being put off to either virtual phone calls or being rescheduled for a future time.
Yeah, that's like that at a lot of places.
Let's look into that in terms, we got the bank covered for 150 poppies. We got Riverside Foods covered for 150. Maybe we can get some other corporate sponsors. Like Jason said that maybe the Realty might be interested in sponsoring some poppies. So let's talk about Jason about getting some additional sponsorship, and maybe we can attack one of the food banks. What do you think, Marla?
I mean, a local drive-through restaurant that does a lot of business would be a good place to start too.
Yeah. Jason, let's see if you can coordinate with your bosses and see if we can get another one, and we'll look for another option. How's that? Okay, great. Coach just went on. You want to say something, Coach?
Regarding the meeting that, can I go to a different topic other than the poppies?
Oh no! I just saw I thought you wanted to talk about poppies. I saw the green light go by your voice, so I thought you wanted to say something. No, let's just finish up the finance, and then I'll turn it over to you, Coach.
Okay.
Finances, everybody. I wanted to make sure this was on the the minutes for tonight. I would ask that you all ratify an action I took today to move $2,000 from our CD to our operational account because I'm going to need to pay for some caps and other things. Our operational account is down to $80 because we paid for advertisements in the landmark and some other things. So could I just have a motion to ratify my action of moving money in a second and a vote?
I'll make the motion. Mr. Spraker.
Any seconds? Any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then I'd also ask for a motion to put Jason Hensley on the account with me because unfortunately Mr. Heine has passed and Mr. Dolej is now in his Michigan summer house staying away from the pandemic. So it's hard to get a hold of him. So I've got to get Jason on the list, but the bank needs to see it in the minutes. Can I have a motion to put him on the CD and the bank account?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And so we will, so just so you know, any money that's donated for poppies goes into the memorial fund, the escrow, to help with the memorial that we're still trying to make look great and beautiful, something that Coach Sislak started years ago. Operational accounts are still coming, operational funds are still coming from our CD. So I'm telling you right now, I'm looking for more and more corporate sponsors to help us in the future. If that means poppies, if that means pins, if that means anything, I'm looking for ways to replenish our money so we don't keep going to the CD. We got enough money in the CD to last us for a long time if we're good, but I don't want to take, I want to give back. So I need ideas, and I don't mind you going offline with me and talking about ideas, but fundraising is just a tough thing. But financially, we are good. We just needed to move some money. So remember, everybody gets a cap. My goal is to get as many members as possible. And the more members we get, the more opportunities we get to raise funds. That's my shotgun approach on life. I hope everybody agrees with me. If not, we can talk about it later, but we gotta go forward. We gotta move. We gotta grow. Let's go to new business, Memorial Day. Coach, give us an update about Memorial Day, please, for everybody. Come on.
Okay,
Thank you.
As of last night's Riverside Board of Trustees meeting, they made the decision to cancel all Memorial Day programs and Memorial Day events on Monday, May 25th. The one aspect that I will do, along with one or maybe two of our dedicated veterans at Memorial Day, we will still go to the Gold Star Memorial flagpole at approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon and raise the flag to full staff, and then also take the Navy wreath and place that in the Des Plaines River in honor of all Navy as well as Marine veterans who were buried at sea. And that once again will be without any publicity, so we don't attract any audience of any kind, just to continue following the directives from Governor Pritzker, also in substitute for not being able to have a Memorial Day program this year, as the new family educational program, the Riverside TV Channel 6 entire crew, editors, directors, along with myself, creating the outline. We're going to produce a professional highlights video of all of the previous 11 years of Riverside Memorial Day programs. We're going to select the special memories, put together a program which we are looking at right now of having completed and then posted on Memorial Day Monday, May 25th, on the Riverside TV network as well as on YouTube. So we'll keep you posted on that progress. A special announcement that I would like to make right now this evening is the name of Riverside's honored veteran for this Memorial Day 2020. And I'm sure most everybody knows this very dedicated veteran. He's Navy Commander Dr. Joseph Troiani. He served in the Navy for 32.5 years as anti-submarine conveyance through the Navy intelligence off of the East Coast, and has served in a lot of the Navy intelligence units throughout his career. He also, as you might know, is the lead professor at Chicago's Adler University of Psychology. He is also the director of Navy psychology for future Navy psychologists to help with PTSD as well as the current ongoing COVID-19. Even though he retired from his 32.5-year career with the Navy, he's still working full-time in the Will County Public Health Suicide Crisis Center. He's in charge of 60 psychologists, and he works from home currently with the 60 psychologists through Zoom, Monday through Friday. Then, it's amazing, since he has Saturday nights available, he is also a Berwyn Police Lieutenant working the night shift, the hot one, from 6 p.m. till 6 in the morning. And he's had a lot of interesting situations to deal with already. And he's been in the Berwyn Police Department for 11 years already. So I don't know if Dr. Troiani is on the Zoom meeting tonight, but I would like to...
He was on earlier, Coach, but he had to step away. Sometimes he gets... Fridays he gets pulled away a lot, so he was on earlier.
Correct.
And this is great. And Coach, will he be able to speak, or will there be a presentation where he'll be able to say something like what's been done in the past?
I'm working on something of that nature for sure.
Okay.
Dr. Troiani and I had a good conversation on the phone about 3 days ago for about 45 minutes, and I just spoke also today with the editor of the Landmark newspaper, Mr. Bob Uphughes, and Bob is also going to call Dr. Troiani and put together a nice article for the Landmark issue, which will come out the Wednesday before Memorial Day.
Wait a minute, Coach. Before we talk more about Commander Troiani, isn't there somebody else who just got a real special award in Riverside? Wasn't there somebody that just got something really big? Jason, help me out here. Wasn't there somebody that got
I don't know if anybody that won the lottery or anything of that nature.
Jason, help me out. Didn't somebody get an award?
Yeah, I believe it was Coach.
Wait a minute. What, Coach was awarded a big community award? Was that some Jansky type award?
Yeah. The Riverside Lions made him, I believe it's the Citizen of the Year.
Oh my Lord. So we got like almost royalty in our presence. Coach, congratulations. You are a very humble man, and you definitely deserved to be Citizen of the Year for Riverside. I can't think of anybody. And by the way, Madam President, Coach Sislak, who's calling in, I'm going to get him a webcam. One way or another, we're going to get him. He is our new commander of our SAL squadron. So he is also Citizen of the Year, and he runs our Memorial Day function every year. And I just wanted to tell you that because I'm very, very proud of him. So, Coach, God bless you and congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. It's definitely an honor to continue to educate the people of Riverside about the Riverside 54 who were killed in combat, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and also honor all of you, the veterans of Post 488 and other communities that come to our program.
Coach, thank you. And just keep updating us on Memorial Day. And also, everybody, Coach and I spoke a couple of days, or last week. I have coordinated for George Buss, to be, I'm going to coordinate for him speaking on Zoom in the late afternoon on the 25th, so that we have a backup. But for those of you who don't know, it'll be on the agenda. If you haven't seen it, George Buss has a GeorgeBecomesLincoln.com. He is a Lincoln impersonator. And I have asked that he do Lincoln's second inaugural address on the 25th in the late afternoon. So we have the video that Coach is doing. We have everything that Coach is doing, plus we'll have Lincoln talking. And so Marla and I will put out a press release that will also incorporate things that Coach is working on, so that this virtual unit, will have something going on for Memorial Day, whether it be a video that we have a link to on YouTube that Coach is working on, and we'll have an interactive night or day with Abraham Lincoln to see if we can get some kids involved with the Legion. And I've asked Mr. Buss to do the speech and then answer questions about being Abraham Lincoln. Does anybody have any objections to Coach and my ideas for Memorial Day? By the way, if you've never seen this guy do Abraham Lincoln, you're in for a treat. Absolute treat. I know it's not Orthodox Memorial Day, but you know what? Nothing for the last few weeks has been Orthodox. Nothing. Coach, anything else?
I have just one more announcement, Commander. At the same meeting last night, the Village of Riverside trustees also canceled all the events relative to July 4th parade,
really?
Fundraising booth opportunities at Guthrie Park, and that was obviously disappointing to hear, but in the sake of keeping everybody healthy was the only decision. So I'm working on currently additional new ideas for the Sons of American Legion squadron to develop some fundraising projects in the upcoming future whenever things start to somewhat return back to normal.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate you a lot.
Thank you very much. You're welcome, and we'll keep you posted on the video. One last quick comment, if folks would like to listen to Dr. Troiani, he has been interviewed twice by Channel 11, WTTW, in the year 2011, and also just a couple of weeks ago about Navy assistance for psychology, PTSD, COVID. So if anybody would like to listen to his presentations, they are fantastic. Just go to the WTTW Channel 11 archives and you can listen to those presentations.
We may need to get that on our website, Coach.
They're outstanding, truly outstanding.
The last thing I wanted to bring up to everybody was this, before I just go around the horn asking people how they're doing and all that other stuff. Upcoming guest speakers, June 12th, our next meeting, we have retired LaGrange Park Chief Mike Hullab, who has agreed to be our guest speaker. Now, those of you who don't know, many of you know him as a police chief, but most of you don't know that he used to be in the old guard. And he's going to talk about his experiences being in the old guard. He was actually on the funeral detail for Justice, I think, Warren Berger. And then our next speaker after that for July 19th, we're going to have meetings all summer long. And I'm going to be doing officer calls all summer long. I know we usually take a break in the summer, but I think summer's going to be hot. And I'm not talking about temperature. So I'm going to still do meetings like this, and we'll have guest speakers because I basically want to make sure everybody's doing okay. So Leah Cohen from the Pritzker Memorial Museum and Library will be talking about oral histories. I just got Chief Hullab an appointment with them as soon as they are operational. I would like all of us to start thinking more and more of how we get our more mature veterans opportunities to do an oral history. You know, and some of our young veterans too, like James Ruzicka. James is one of our youngest members, and he hasn't smiled yet. James Ruzicka is one of our youngest members, and frankly, I think, James, you should be doing an oral history, okay? That's just the way it is. I think it's time. I know you're laughing, and that's good. But, you know, I would like everybody, or Mr. Sullivan, or somebody, I'd like you guys to be doing these oral histories. So we'll have Leah Cohen, and then I'm trying to work on August. I'm working on a guest speaker from Bohemian National Cemetery to come and talk about the history of memorials. And then I'm working on trying to get a Legion of a Medal of Honor recipient for September. No guarantees at this point because it's just in the workings. But September is always our big push. And I always like to do something kind of special. And I think we're still going to be very virtual. And it would be great if we had a great speaker because frankly, I want to see more kids on these calls in the future for our guest speakers. Why? Because where are these kids going to see people like this now? All right. Any questions? Other than that, I'm just going to turn it around. And Chaplain, I'm going to have you say a prayer when we finish up, okay? So let me start with Dan. Dan, how is Florida and how are you? Are you doing okay?
Florida's fantastic. We're doing great down here. My wife and I are enjoying it. Thank you for asking. I hope everybody is doing well up there and around the Midwest.
Thanks, Dan. I just hope you join us because you are our mentor. Remember, past commanders and vice commanders are mentors. You're supposed to come and hit us up in the head every so often to make sure we're doing what we're doing right, okay?
Thanks, Joe.
And remember, I'm still that green commander, as somebody emailed me the other day. I'm a green commander. I gotta love it. And that's okay. I let them call me a green commander. It's okay. John, Mr. Friga, anything for the good of the order. Are you doing okay? Is your wife doing okay?
We're doing okay. We're holding our own. Go to work every Wednesday downtown. That's about the only time I go to. I just started this last Wednesday, and I'm going to keep going Wednesdays to start with, and then we'll see if I add more time.
Are the RTA meetings still continuing? Are you doing this online, or are they've canceled meetings?
There are virtual meetings, and we had one in April, and we'll have one probably in 2 weeks.
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad you're okay. I always check. I want to check in on you, sir. That's all.
Well, the age is starting to get to me. Yeah.
No, you and James Ruzicka are some of the youngest members of our post, so I'm very grateful for that.
I'm 89, so I'm not a youngster anymore.
I think I think it's .89. There's a decimal point. I think you forgot the decimal point, Mr. Friga.
Okay.
Thank you. You're welcome. Vice Commander Jason, how are you doing? Did you sell another house today?
Yeah, I actually did. It was a condo. So yeah, that's 3 in 10 days, which is insane to me.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not normal for me. So despite the craziness of the times, it's business is booming for houses. People got to have places to live, apparently.
And Jason, it's not only just the business. You're a damn hard worker. You've done a lot for me alone, just reaching out to you for the combined veterans. You've done a lot for us on our end. So your work ethic is a big part of it. Give yourself credit for that.
Yeah, thanks, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm barely hanging on sometimes. But I want to shout out, my wife just published an article in a magazine called Contagious. So if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, I've linked it. My wife is the smartest person I've ever met, and she's she's brilliant. So if you get a chance to read her article, you should. It's pretty interesting stuff, pretty eye-opening.
Thanks, Vice Commander. Appreciate it.
All right.
Jason Sparagon, anything for the order, the good of the order. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm okay. I'm eating strawberries now. My daughter gave me some strawberries, so I'm happy.
Very nice. Yeah, I have nothing right now.
But you're okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Coach, we've already heard from you. I know you're okay because you sounded good, but are you okay? You doing okay?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Great meeting tonight.
And congratulations to you, Coach. And just so you know, hint, hint, I dropped a ton load of stuff with Bob Upuse about you. So if there's an article in the Landmark that makes you seem like you're God, it's my fault. Okay?
Well, thank you for the attempt. We'll see what develops.
Okay, I just wanted you to know, okay? To our newest member and a dear friend of mine from ROTC days at the University of Illinois, I hope Ms. Conister heard that. Walter, how are you doing, man? You look great.
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. You look great yourself, and you know, I'm tickled to death to be a part of the post. I know, you know, I'm really glad that Joe reached out to me about this, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of this organization. I think it's going to be awesome. So, but yeah, I'm doing just fine. Wife's doing just fine. We live out here with the cows and the cornfields, so not a lot of interaction with people to begin with. So you know, we're pretty well positioned. Yeah, my wife says she still goes to work every day, so she's the exception to that rule.
Well, Walter, you're great, and you know, the intent is to make this. This is my model, the virtual model. When things get better, we can hybrid it more. But I think it's not about the building or the location. It's about the community, and we make our communities. I know it sounds all, you know, mushy stuff, but you know me. I may sound like I'm mushy, but I believe what I say because otherwise I can't say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the concept, and I think it's the new norm, and I think the American Legion would be good to adopt it. And by the way, I got this idea from my Submariner Vice Commander, Jason Hensley, because he knows of a lot of other Submariner groups that are doing exactly what we're doing now. Right there, Submariner? There you go. Marla, how are you doing, even though I know how you're doing?
I'm great. I couldn't be better. I'm just waiting for all of this to blow over, but I am not as paranoid anymore, and I am not freaking out anymore. And I hate going to the grocery store, so I had to go to Target, and I have glasses, so you know, you wear a mask and like you're all fogged up.
I fogged up. I got fogged up today at Costco. I hate it.
I started choking on my spit in a mask, so I'm coughing in the checkout line, and I thought I was going to get stoned to death.
Oh, from people behind you?
Yeah, but I bought enough for at least like 3 weeks, so I don't have to go anywhere, so I'm good.
Okay, good, Marla. We appreciate you a lot. Commissioner Toman, do you hear us? Commissioner Toman,
he's not on the line anymore.
Well, he's in a black hole. That's what, because time has stopped for him. But Commissioner Toman and I are working very hard to get him on his webcam. So the day that he is effectively online is going to be a great day for me. I'm just telling you, it takes time. Sir, Sully, sir, how are you, sir? You've been very quiet today. He wants to be quiet. I'm going to unmute him.
Oh, I don't say much.
And that's okay.
But,
how are you doing?
Good. All's good. And I'll give everybody an update once I find out about Don Farnham's services, when they're going to do a memorial service for him later this summer, and it may go into fall. But
so it was originally going to be, they moved it to June, then to July, and now
it's on hold.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, John Neppel, how the heck are you? Can you talk, or can we're having? Okay, yeah, you can't talk. We're gonna have to work on this. You gotta. This happens. And by the way, just so you know, John and I will talk, and sometimes he will have no voice, and now he has no voice. John, can you just give me a thumbs up that you're okay? Because we can't hear you. I still can't hear you, John. Sometimes his mic works, and sometimes it doesn't. John, would you do me a favor? No, wait a minute. He's connecting. I'll come back to John. He's connecting. I'll come back to John. Greg, anything for the good of the order? You're doing okay. I talked to you on Wednesday. Greg always comes to Wednesday meetings. I appreciate him.
Yeah, I'm doing okay myself. I just kind of did a mental checklist of everything that I'm grateful for. I can cook for myself because I'm a pretty good cook. I can dress myself, take care of my own finances, everything I need to do for myself. It pains me sometimes to see people around the neighborhood that are unable to do that, and they have to get assistance for that, and especially if they get sick, that it makes it more difficult. I was speaking with our president for the Combined Veterans, Tony Ward, earlier today, discussing some possible options for our upcoming event on July 18th, the Luncheon and Expo, which will be in our third year. At this point, I can say it's not going to happen on July 18th. I'm looking to possibly push it back maybe to closer to the end of August because the car show in Berwyn has been canceled, so we wouldn't be competing with that.
That's
Matter of fact, all BDC events have been canceled in Berwyn for 2020. The major difference would be is that I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars to pay for food if I'm probably not going to get the attendance. So the option that I'm looking at, and as soon as I have the opportunity to speak with the reps at the Park District Board, is to possibly conduct the event without serving lunch, so that at least the community will have options to connect to those resources, which is what the purpose of the event was mainly anyway. At this point, it's on hold until I can talk to the Park District. But other than that, we haven't gotten a lot of calls to reach out to veterans to make sure everybody's okay. We check on most of the people at least once a week. We go through our entire contact list that covers Berwyn and the surrounding community, Riverside included. So everybody seems to be handling things pretty well. What concerns me sometimes is that I believe that there are a few out there who are not reaching out that need help. So if there's anyone out there, veteran or not, that needs help, put them in touch with someone here and we will figure out how to help them.
Or they can always come online on Wednesday at office call.
Absolutely.
We can talk things out. Let me go back to John, Greg. Thanks, Greg. John, do you have sound again? No, you don't. It's okay, John. John, that's okay. We'll work it out. But I love you, man.
Not muted.
Oh, no, turn it up to volume. I just heard you.
Okay, then everything's okay.
Yeah. So how you doing, John?
I'm doing just great. Everything's beautiful here. My wife is a nurse.
Yes, she is.
So I was listening to this whole thing about the nurses, and it was just really something. And you're eating your strawberries, everything's good.
As long as there's strawberries at Costco, life is good. The
Did you
problem
know that
is
you can
there's no
get into-
Clorox.
If you go into Costco, you can go to the head of the line at Costco because you're military.
I didn't know that.
If you have a military ID or you're a nurse or anything along those lines, you can go to the head of the line at Costco.
I will look that up again, but I normally don't like taking advantage of that stuff. I just go in line and become a good little boy and follow the guy's advice.
Yeah, I'm not big on waiting in line. I learned that in the Air Force.
But you're doing okay, and Barbara's okay, right?
Everybody's doing just great. And your neighbor, the guy who bought your brother's house, is doing okay. Everybody's good here.
Good.
I don't know anybody. I honestly, knock on wood, I don't know anyone who's really sick, so everything's good.
Okay. Well, remember, if you do know anybody veteran-wise, you're calling people. If they need, if there's issues, let me know. We'll try to solve it.
Tell everybody that I'm calling, not to be mad at me, that I'm calling them.
Okay. I will let them know. Okay. I'm gonna open it up to Tony Ward. Now, everybody brace yourself because it's Tony. Tony, what do you got for the group?
What I've got for the group commander is I'd be honored, Coach, if you would allow myself, and I think I can speak for Greg, to be with you at 1 o'clock at the Gold Star Memorial on Memorial Day.
I will definitely take that recommendation in consideration. I just kind of have to go on eggshells regarding the directives from the president and also the police chief in Riverside. So I'll work on some strategies.
Not a problem, sir. Sue, you didn't hear this, but Marla, I will adopt you as a daughter-in-law to get your post membership up.
Thank
You
you,
didn't hear
Mr.
that,
Ward.
Sue.
I don't have any military relationships. My grandpa was in the Queen's Navy in Scotland, but I have no American
I
military
will adopt
family.
you
So
as a daughter-in-law, and that's then gives you the right to become a ladies auxiliary member. Am I correct, Sue?
You're on mute, Sue.
Sorry. You have to adopt her, yes.
Consider it done. I'll go to the courts and get the papers filed.
Okay.
thank you.
She did say she had military connections with her grandmother, so I mean, does it have to be here?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Mr. Ward, like always, you never cease to surprise me. Thank you.
I do what I can, Commander.
I know. Thank you.
He has his moments.
Mr. Newman, Ron, how are you doing?
Hello. Yes. Yes, I'm fine. Congratulations to another great meeting. And especially congratulations again to the coach. That's fantastic. And I just heard from Greg, maybe some very disappointing news. I was really looking forward to the fantastic food at that picnic Anthony and Greg always have every year. I hope they can do something else. If there's no food, I'd still like to come. I hope they have something though.
As soon as I get the chance to speak with someone at the Park District, we will finalize the plans.
Thank you.
By the way, Ron, like always, I want to thank you for your help to Anthony LaPiena with Guardian Corps. I'm
Okay.
trying to get Tony on these meetings, but to be honest with you, Tony, I talked to Tony the other day. He is with homeless people like all the time. The last time I talked to Tony, I said, Tony, you got to get some sleep. He is getting exhausted working with homeless veterans in Cook County and DuPage. So, you know, like I told Coach the other day, I'll buy you a webcam if I have to. I'll buy Tony a webcam if I have to. We need to get webcams together. And that's just the way it is. Let me tell you, if our youngest member, James Rosica, can get a webcam working, anybody can get a webcam working. And that's my great segue. Thank you, Ron. To James. Jim, Mr. Rosica, how are you doing in Yorkville? Are you okay? Are the cows okay?
We're just fine, thank you. I guess the cows are all right. You know, we lived in LaGrange Park for 42 years, and 10 years ago we moved here. And we're keeping busy. I'm keeping busy. I still do my own landscaping, even though I think I'm going to have to eliminate some of it. I have more landscaping to do here than I ever did in LaGrange Park, where we lived for 42 years. But it's a little different mentality. But this isn't a totally rural area. It's partially rural now, maybe 50% rural. But we're doing fine. We're healthy and keeping busy, and I have no problems keeping busy. Some people complain about that they're confined to home. Well, I've got enough work to do around the house and enough different interests to keep my mind occupied. I mean, my wife and I are in the old car hobby, and haven't done too much with that in the last couple of years, but I hope to get going on it again this summer. I've got a military Jeep, and
someday we're going to bring that military Jeep out to Riverside, and we're going to put it in a parade. That's my goal. Okay. Okay.
Somehow we'll work it out. You know, take me a couple hours to drive it there because top speed's about 30 miles an hour. But well, you know, it wasn't designed for going on highways. It was designed for going over rocks and through sand. So it's really geared down. But,
okay.
It's fun. I enjoy it, and we have a Model 8 Ford also, so we haven't.
Wow.
And in fact, I used to be in the Riverside Parade with it, but not recently, of course, not in the last 10 years.
Thanks,
but we're
Jim.
doing fine.
Thanks. I'm glad. Okay, I'm going to leave it then to to President Conister and to President kind of Coughlin for any last things they want to say, because you are in this group. So I go through everybody. Any comments, ladies? Anything more that you want to say in regards to your experience with us, our little post with big ideas?
It's been a fun meeting, and we're so glad we were here. We got in touch. Marla has our phone number, so we'll be in touch with her and Laura and try and get something going for your team, and hopefully we'll all be working together.
Thank you. And I just got a note from Walter Watts, and I will talk to him because I didn't know Laura works at Best Buy. Walter, I will be talking to you about webcams. There are some people I want to get webcams for. Okay?
Absolutely.
Like Mr. Friga, I want Mr. Friga to have a webcam. I want Coach Sislak to have a webcam. Everybody needs to have a webcam because that's the new norm. It really is. I'm sorry, but you got to accept it, everybody. You can cancel meetings, you can cancel things, but if you don't stop canceling, you will disappear. We're not going to disappear. So with that, I always like to leave it to our chaplain, John. Yes.
Andrew, before you do that.
Okay, sorry, John.
Members, Marla, Ms. Conister, Ms. Coughlin, as soon as this nonsense is over, it is my intention to use Combined Veterans of Berwyn to book the American Legion Hall in Berwyn and to have a welcome home luncheon to say that we've all survived. I'd like to invite you all as my guests when this does occur to come out, break bread, that we've all survived, and we're going back to our normal thing.
Thank you. I look forward to that.
Wow, I thought he was going to offer to adopt everybody.
Give him a minute, he'll get there.
Okay.
Okay, too.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Okay, last but not least, everybody, I'm sorry we went over today.
Joe.
I apologize. Yes, wait, Jason, yes, Vice Commander.
Sorry. I just got confirmation on my phone. We got a new member who's going to be joining from Arizona. He lives in Tucson. He's in Border Patrol. He served with me on a submarine back in the late 90s. His name's Joey Joseph Ferretta. So he's going to be joining our post. Look at that.
Oh my God! So we're going to have people in Ohio. We're going to have people in Berwyn. We're going to have people in Arizona. We're going to have people in Texas. We're going to have people in maybe Cicero. I'm still holding out for Cicero, everybody. I'm sorry. No Cicero. Okay, there you go. But hey, at the very least, we got people from North Riverside. Riverside will become international. It's just the way it is.
Hey, Joe, pretty soon we might be able to give a Coulter Post a run for their money.
I'm not even thinking about that, but it's the model. It's the model. I do have a friend, a major retired Rocco Spencer in Poland. He and I have been going back and forth because I can't join. I'm in Poland. And I said, oh, yes, you can. So if we get somebody from Poland, don't be surprised. So last but not least, John Chaplain, are you feeling okay? Are you doing okay? And after you're doing okay, would you please close us with a prayer?
Yeah, doing fine. Doing really good. All right. Almighty Father, help us to remember that freedom does not automatically perpetrate itself, that we have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and pray for it. Freedom, like faith, needs our attention and our cooperation. Lord, be with us now to strengthen us, about us to keep us, above us to protect us, beneath us to uphold us, before us to direct us, behind us to keep us from straying, and around us to defend us. Blessed are you, O Father, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. This meeting of Riverside Post 488 is now concluded. We are adjourned.